A man exploring a cave is horrified to discover a massive centipede with razor-sharp fangs, which he initially mistakes for a fossil. But the moment he turns around, the terrifying monster actually springs back to life. Our story begins in Southeast Asia during World War II. To advance their invasion, the Japanese military uses the Philippines as a stepping stone to invade Southeast Asian regions like Thailand and Burma. However, when the main force enters Thailand, they discover that, due to the towering mountains and dense forests, there isn't even a decent road to be found. To facilitate the transport of troops and weaponry, the military decides to construct a railway connecting Thailand and Burma. A massive number of civilians are rounded up as forced laborers and thrown into the thick jungle. Faced with tyrannical exploitation, numerous resistance forces emerge across Thailand and nearby regions. To wipe out these freedom fighters, the occupying forces initiate a brutal and inhumane massacre. Deep in the mountains of Thailand, a Japanese squad spots a few resisting villagers. The squad leader immediately gives chase with his men, cornering the rebels deep inside a cavern. Seeing that the targets have nowhere left to run, the leader prepares to finish them all off in one fell swoop. But just then, their vehicle is suddenly jammed by something and grinds to a halt. Before the captain can react, several deadly darts fly out from the darkness, instantly unaliving a few soldiers. The squad instantly descends into total chaos. Luckily, the leader has quick reflexes, immediately firing back to eliminate the rebels hiding in the cave. But just as he prepares to withdraw his men, a bizarre and eerie noise echoes from the depths of the cave. As it turns out, local legends dictate that a terrifying, hundred-legged monster has always inhabited this mountain. Virtually no one who trespasses into its territory ever makes it out alive. Just like that, the squad chasing the rebels vanishes into the abyss of the mine. However, the squad's disappearance fails to catch the attention of high command, as soldiers fall in battle within the jungle every single day during this war-torn era. Cut to the railway construction site at the foot of the mountain, where forced laborers are toiling away under military supervision. Right in the middle of the frantic work, a Japanese commander named Akira arrives at the site. Looking at the sluggish progress, Akira is deeply dissatisfied. If they keep moving at this snail's pace, forget completing the railway, they won't even be able to keep up with frontline supplies. Right on cue, a man wearing glasses approaches. His name is Bunchu, and he is the manager in charge of recruiting laborers. He reports the progress to Akira with a sycophantic smile, but Akira remains unsatisfied, demanding more men and ordering Bunchu to find more bodies to finish the track before the deadline. Hearing this demand, Bunchu finds himself in quite a pinch, because almost every able-bodied local in the vicinity has already been dragged here, meaning any additional manpower must be sought further away. Not only will this increase the travel distance, but it will also drive up the overall expenses. Upon hearing Bunchu's explanation, Akira's face instantly darkens, as he doesn't care at all where the workers come from or how much cash it costs. Realizing Akira has lost his patience, Bunchu has no choice but to bow his head and comply. Meanwhile, on the other side, a truck rolls into the camp near the construction site, completely packed with captured women. Spotting the armed soldiers around the camp, the women look utterly terrified. However, a girl sitting on the right side doesn't panic at all, remaining unusually calm. Ever since the truck entered the compound, she has been meticulously analyzing the layout of the camp. Her name is Sanor, and she wasn't captured by force, but rather lets herself get caught intentionally. The newly arrived women are quickly distributed to various quarters. Being the most beautiful of the bunch, Sanor is sent to a room on the second floor. The room is dimly lit, with soldiers patrolling back and forth downstairs. Sanor sits alone in the room. Just then, an officer pushes the door open. Eyeballing Sanor by the bed, a sinister and malicious grin creeps across the officer's face. He drops his pants and unbuckles his leather belt. The moment he gets close to Sanor, he wraps the belt around her neck to choke her. But just when the officer thinks she will submissively comply, Sanor launches a sudden counterattack. As it turns out, just last week, this officer led a squad that raided Sanor's village and unalived many of her people. Sanor infiltrates the military camp for the sole purpose of getting sweet revenge. Although the officer has decent combat skills, Sanor clearly holds the upper hand. During the fierce struggle, Sanor snatches his katana and straight up unalives the officer. At the exact same time, the soldiers downstairs catch wind of the commotion. The moment a soldier bursts into the room, Sanor takes him out instantly. After dropping a few more guards, Sanor sets the camp ablaze and flees into the forest behind it. But just as she is about to retreat along her planned route, a man emerges from behind her. Hearing Bunchu's voice, Sanor finally breathes a sigh of relief. It turns out Bunchu is a double agent working for the Thai military, and his mission inside the camp is to rescue a British POW named Tim. And Sanor's infiltration wasn't just for personal vendetta, but also to help Bunchu stir up absolute chaos. Taking advantage of the madness earlier, Bunchu quietly sneaks Tim out of the compound. Just as they hit the intersection, they run right into the retreating Sanor. Confirming that their high-value target is successfully rescued, Sanor leads Bunchu and Tim deep into the heart of the forest. After a grueling night of rushing around, they arrive at the agreed-upon riverside, where the rendezvous contacts responsible for receiving them have already been waiting for a long time. However, right as they prepare to pull out, gunfire suddenly erupts in the distance. Sanor looks back only to find that 2 hostile soldiers are right on their tail. Bunchu tries to bribe his way out of it, but the soldiers aren't buying it. As the 2 sides square off, another twist unfolds. Sanor assumes her allies made the move, but when she looks up, she realizes the ones who dropped the guards are actually 2 indigenous locals forced into railway labor. Sanor tries to explain and prove she is Thai, but the 2 locals refuse to believe it. Even so, they don't give Sanor a hard time, choosing instead to propose escaping together. Not long after the group departs, Akira catches up with his pursuit squad. Spotting a discarded cigarette butt on the ground, they pinpoint the exact direction of the escapees. Little does the pursuing Akira know, a horrific, ancient monster slumbers in these mountains, and if they alert it, every single one of them is toast. After another grueling night of trekking, Sanor and her crew arrive at the very mine where the previous squad was wiped out. Exhausted and sleep-deprived, they find a clearing inside the cave to take a quick breather. While the others rest, Sanor opens a map from her backpack that details the intricate structural layout of the mine. As it turns out, this entire mining facility was originally developed by Sanor's father. However, during a catastrophic cave-in, her father was buried alive inside the tunnels and never made it out. According to the map, the tunnel right in front of them leads directly through the mountain range, meaning if they cross it, they can make it safely into Burma. But just as the group prepares to venture deeper into the tunnel, gunshots ring out near the entrance. Realizing the military has caught up, Bunchu tries to bolt, but he is instantly pinned down by several soldiers. Meanwhile, deeper inside the cave, Sanor, who is scouting ahead, also notices the incoming threat. She quickly flees into the flooded depths of the cavern. However, right as she is evading the search, several centipedes appear on the ceiling of the mine shaft. The sudden fright catches Sanor off guard, causing her to make a noise. Staring at the man who appears right in front of her, Sanor is utterly shocked. The man is named Renja, and not only does he know Sanor, but he is also a close friend of hers. Instead of blowing her cover, Renja tells her to run for her life immediately. Right at that moment, the thunderous roar of aircraft echoes from the sky. Akira steps outside and looks up, spotting several Allied fighter jets soaring over the mountain peaks. The squadron drops heavy payloads, completely obliterating the railroad tracks under construction. Witnessing the bridge at the foot of the mountain getting blown to smithereens, Akira freezes in utter disbelief. Before he can even process the shock, a few more fighter jets swoop in, strafing his squad up on the mountain. By the time Akira opens his eyes again, the cave entrance is completely sealed off by debris, with several of his soldiers buried under the rubble. Just as Akira attempts a rescue operation, the captured Tim takes advantage of the chaos to break his bonds, takes out his guard, and bolts into the mine. Noticing Tim's escape, Akira hastily rallies his remaining men to give chase inside. However, the labyrinthine tunnels twist in every direction, forcing the squad to get separated in no time. Inside the cave, the escaped Sanor and her allies are lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. A lone soldier who wanders off from the group is instantly taken out by them. Deep inside the mine, Akira discovers a bizarre scene where a soldier's upper body has vanished into thin air, leaving a stretched-out pool of blood on the ground. Following the trail of blood backwards, he realizes it actually stretches all the way up to a hole right above his head. Staring at the ridiculous bloodstain, Akira does not panic. Based on the tracks left at the scene, he deduces that the slaughtered soldier seems to have been dragged upward by something. Could it be that the resisting villagers are hiding up above to ambush the soldiers? But if so, where on earth did the unalived soldier's missing torso go? Meanwhile, deep in the cavern, a villager who was injured in the explosion is cornered at a tunnel entrance by a swarm of centipedes. The villager pulls out a flare to drive away the surrounding centipedes, but just as the swarm scatters, an even larger centipede emerges at the entrance. On the other side, Sanor, who is scrambling through the cave, crosses paths with Renja. They locate a rope left behind by previous workers inside the mine, which Renja uses to climb down to the bottom of a cliff to search for an exit. But the moment he turns around, he spots a blood-drenched monster emerging right at the cave opening. Terrified by this eerie sight, Renja frantically climbs back up. Little does he know, the monster actually gives chase, climbing straight up from the bottom that is over 10 meters deep. Luckily, Sanor reacts quickly, picking up a wooden stick from the ground and bashing the sudden intruder back down. Staring at the dark shadow below, Sanor recalls a local legend about a bizarre monster inhabiting this mountain range, where countless workers mysteriously vanished back when the mine was first developed. Although they have no idea what that creature was, now is definitely not the time to overthink it. So they switch directions to continue their search for an exit. Meanwhile, the escaped Bunchu and Tim also encounter a bizarre event. They spot a strange figure inside the mine shaft. Initially, Bunchu mistakes the figure for a lost worker, but as he draws closer, he discovers it is not human at all, but rather a monster, completely wrapped in filth. Horrified by this eerie sight, Bunchu and Tim decisively open fire in an attempt to eliminate the creature. However, the monster is completely unfazed by bullets. Right at that moment, Tim spots a bottle of kerosene on the ground. He splashes the kerosene all over the monster and sets it ablaze. It does not take long before the monster is burned to a crisp. Staring at the charred remains on the ground, Bunchu is still struggling to process the shock. Just as the two prepare to leave this section of the tunnel, a dark shadow suddenly leaps out from the darkness, and Bunchu is instantly dragged away. In another part of the mine, Akira and his sole surviving soldier also lose their way while searching for an exit. Wandering aimlessly, the duo arrives at a tunnel completely flooded with water. Right as they try to get their bearings, bright red blood suddenly appears in the water. Akira looks back, only to find that the blood is dripping from directly overhead. They look up, only to be greeted by the sight of the soldier's missing torso. This sudden, horrific sight completely terrifies Akira and his soldier. As the two panic, a human silhouette suddenly emerges from the far end of the tunnel. Akira looks closer and realizes the approaching figure is none other than Bunchu, the man who betrayed him. However, something is seriously off with Bunchu right now, as he marches toward them with a completely vacant stare. Before Akira can even react, razor-sharp spikes suddenly erupt from Bunchu's mouth. Realizing something is horribly wrong, Akira hastily draws his sidearm and fires several shots, but Bunchu does not show any reaction whatsoever. Right then, the soldier pulls out his combat knife and cuts off Bunchu's head with a single swipe. Making absolutely sure that Bunchu on the ground is completely unresponsive, Akira finally breathes a sigh of relief. The two hurriedly sprint out of this nightmare tunnel, but when they reach the other end of the shaft, they witness an even more ridiculous sight, discovering a translucent shell stretching several meters long and winding deep into the mine. Judging by its appearance, this looks exactly like a shed centipede skin. Yet, Akira remembers clearly that a centipede is just a crawling insect, making it completely impossible for one to grow to such a colossal size. Meanwhile, Sanor and Renja get separated while searching for a way out of the mine. Just as Sanor is anxiously searching for Renja, she runs into a panicked Tim at a corner. Before Tim can even utter a word, a swarm of monsters appears right behind them, forcing them to fight as they retreat. Fortunately, the monsters move quite slowly, allowing them to quickly shake off the pursuit. But before Sanor can catch her breath, Tim is suddenly yanked away by something behind her. By the time she reacts, nothing is left on the ground except a lone flashlight. Just as Sanor tries to step closer, she feels something heavy breathing right behind her. Hearing Sanor's blood-curdling scream, Renja rushes over as fast as he can. But when he arrives at the scene, only Sanor's necklace is left abandoned on the ground. Renja explores deeper into the cave, only to discover a cage hidden in the depths of the mine, which surprisingly holds a man inside. Renja initially mistakes him for a monster, but as he approaches, he discovers that the caged man is actually Sanor's missing father, Nortong. As it turns out, Nortong encountered the monster years ago while mining and managed to fall into a deep pit during his escape. Because the opening was extremely narrow, the monster could not get inside, allowing Nortong to escape the ordeal by a hair. However, the cave was crawling with centipedes, meaning the moment he left, he would be spotted, leaving him trapped deep within the mountain. Fortunately, the cave was filled with tiny centipedes and stagnant water, which he relied on to barely survive all these years. Learning that Sanor has been captured by the giant centipede in the cave, Nortong completely panics as well. He takes out a strange liquid and smears it all over Renja. This liquid is actually a residue left behind after the giant centipede sheds its skin, which makes the smaller centipedes mistake them for their own kind, though it is completely useless against the big boss itself. Immediately after, he leads Renja into another tunnel, which turns out to be completely infested with monsters. As it turns out, the centipedes in this mine are an ancient species dating back to prehistoric times, having nested deep in the forest for eons. It wasn't until humans arrived that these creatures were finally awakened. However, as the two make their way through, they fail to notice Akira lurking right behind them. Seeing that the duo is not being attacked, Akira assumes Renja knows the way out, so he and his soldier quietly tail them. But the moment they step into the swarm of monsters, they startle the centipedes, resulting in them getting violently ambushed. Passing through a tunnel, Nortong and Renja arrive at a massive underground chamber. Right on the cavern walls, Renja witnesses an utterly horrifying sight. It turns out those giant centipedes in the cave are not the supreme ruler, but merely guards of the Centipede King, while the true king has been slumbering deep inside the cavern all along. Nortong cautiously leads Renja to a small side cave, which is packed with wrapped-up prey. These victims are all cocoons prepared by the giant centipedes as food for the Centipede King. Inside one of these massive cocoons, Renja locates the captured Sanor and Tim. Seeing that Sanor is still breathing, Renja finally drops his anxiety. He slices open the cocoon, successfully rescuing all of them. However, just as they are about to make their escape, a violent explosion echoes outside the chamber. It turns out Akira and his soldier detonated a grenade while being overwhelmed by the swarm. The massive blast completely awakens the slumbering Centipede King. Before the group can even step out, they find themselves surrounded by a sea of centipedes. Realizing the Centipede King has awakened, Nortong knows exactly how lethal this monster is, quickly leading them to flee out of the cavern. However, the furious Centipede King gives chase right on their heels. But just as they reach the cave opening, the Centipede King gets jammed at the exit due to its colossal size, and its violent slamming causes the entire mountain structure to collapse. Right at that critical moment, Sanor spots a deep pool of water at the very end of the passage. They leap down into the water from above. Much to their surprise, this underwater pool connects directly to the outside world. However, just as they try to swim up to the surface, a centipede tentacle hooks onto Sanor's calf. Sanor desperately tries to slice it off with her knife, but the tentacle is exceptionally durable. Right as Sanor is on the verge of suffocating, Renja notices her struggle, turning back to swim down and successfully pulling her up to safety. In the end, the surviving few successfully escape the Nightmare Mountain. And that wraps up everything for the latest 2026 Thai horror movie, Omukade. So if you are a fan of this genre, definitely check out the original film. Alright, that is all for today, and I will see you guys in the next one.